Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. I'm here with you again this Friday afternoon, looking forward to Saturday's racing, and I have two selections for you. One of them, a Champions Day at Ascot, where there's some wonderful racing, as I'm sure you know, and one that I've managed to fish out at Catterick, of all places. So a couple of runners of interest. If you happen to be new to this free service, then please press the subscribe button just below the screen, and then you'll be able to follow all my weekend tips without any charge whatsoever. And you'll find that most of my selections are very tasty each way prices, because that's the way I choose to play the game. I don't believe you can really make it pay backing short price favorites or those overall towards the top of the market. Well, last week I only looked at one race. It was the Cesaro, which is always a very hard race, and it was mixed, really. Gibraltar ran well, I thought, to finish seventh. He was staying on again at the finish. I don't know if any firms were paying 7 places, but I don't believe so. I think it was 6. But if you managed to get 7 places, do let me know and leave a comment. London Winter never got into it. He was just not on a going day. But certainly Charles Burns, with Run for Oscar, landed a very nice touch, a very shrewd Irish yard. So as I say, 2 tips for Saturday, the 15th of October. I'm taking you first to Ascot. It is Champions Day. What a fabulous lineup they have. The 125 is the first race of the day, the Group 2 Long Distance Cup. Now, the advance going is good to soft in places. 8 runners over the 2 miles. I've had a look at the weather forecast, and according to the Beeb, they say it's going to be mainly dry and some sunshine. So I think the soft in places might disappear, and it's going to be good to soft at best. Now, of course, the horse that this race revolves around is the very, very high-class True Shan, trained by Alan King, who's on a hat-trick in this race, having won it for the last 2 years. You'll recall that back in 2020, he beat the very talented mare Search for a Song very comfortably on soft ground. And then last year on Good to Soft, he beat Tashkan. Of course, this season, he put up one of the great weight-carrying performances of the modern era, when off a mark of 120 in the handicap that is the Northumberland Plate, he proved good enough to win then. That effort, I think, did take more out of him than we knew at the time. He went on to still finish a very good third, a close third to Kyprios in the Goodwood Cup. But last time, though, he didn't look like his old self. Didn't look comfortable, hanging left and then hanging right, and eventually went down to Coltrane in the Doncaster Cup. And Andrew Balding's Coltrane is going to reoppose. Now, it's interesting to read Alan King's comments after True Shan was beaten. He said the horse was remembering the ground from his previous start, just was not really happy. And I just got the feeling that they weren't completely thrilled with True Shan at the moment. And because of that, I think it's difficult to back him, even though he may well bounce back to his best at a track he loves, over a distance he loves, at a time of year when he usually thrives. And there will be some juice in the ground, but I don't think there'll be value. I don't fancy Coltrane, even though he's a very tough and genuine horse. He ran well enough in the Goodwood Cup as well. In between, he was slammed by Quickthorn, who goes on Saturday. That was in a very curious race, the Lonsdale Stakes at York, which Quickthorn won by 14 lengths from the front. Has since been well beaten, admittedly on very soft ground. So the 3-year-olds are certainly of a great deal of interest here, because we've got Eldar Alderoff and Waterville. Now, Eldar Alderoff, a horse that I've mentioned a few times on this service, and he's done us a favour, of course, at Royal Ascot. Eldar Alderoff, the Roger variant, lovely horse, won that Queen's Vase over 1 3/4 miles on Good to Firm. He was then unsuited by dropping back to 1.5 miles when still a very good 4th in the Group 1 Grand Prix de Paris during the summer. And then, of course, the St. Ledger last time out at Doncaster. He stayed on really strongly to win. It might not have been the strongest St. Ledger we've ever seen, but he could do no more than win it well, and he probably will stay the extra 2 furlongs. He is going to be a big danger to all, Eldar Alderoff. And then you've got the fascinating Waterville for Aidan O'Brien, who also runs Wordsworth. Both of them ran in the Irish Cesaro, which last time Wordsworth was outpaced before staying on quite well. in the closing stages, but he would still be quite away. Whereas Waterfoil, who sneaked in off bottom weight of the 30 runners, was last with about half a mile to run. And he came home with an absolutely storming run to get up and just get there in the closing stages. Now, of course, bottom weight in a Cesaro, which is very different to handling Group 1 performers in the Champions Day at Ascot. But Aidan O'Brien's made no secret that he really likes the horse, although he did say after the Cesaro, which that this is a horse really to look forward to next year. He didn't suggest that he'd be good enough to win at Champions Day this year, although maybe he decided he wasn't going to talk about that and keep it to himself. So Eldar Eldarov, I think, is the preferred of the 3-year-olds, but I'm interested here at the prices, and I'm always looking for value. I'm interested in Trawlerman, and he is my selection for John and Thady Gosden, and he's ridden by Frankie Dettori. And I think he's worth a chance here. He's come into his own since learning to settle, and the thing that's helped him settle is the hood. When he wore it for the first time, he stepped up to win by 1 3/4 miles in a very hot staying handicap at Glorious Goodwood, off a mark of 97 in July. And then Frankie, in what has not been a vintage season for him, let's be honest, gave the horse an absolute peach of a ride to win the Ebor handicap off a mark of 101, getting him there by a short head to beat Alfred Boucher. And that was despite having raced wide for much of the trip and possibly run quite a bit further than some of the other horses in the race. Now, he's never run over 2 miles, so we have to take that on trust. But now he's learning to settle in the hood. I think he should get there. The ground is the unknown because he's only run really on a sound surface. But looking at his pedigree, he's out of a Monsun mare, and these German mares by Monsun often pass on some ability to handle soft ground. So I'd be quite optimistic he'll handle good to soft on Saturday. And the other point of interest here is that after he won the Ebor, John Gosden was wondering out loud about sending the horse to the Melbourne Cup. He thought he'd be the ideal type, improving 4-year-old that stays well. He has a bit of a turn of foot as well. But they've opted not to go to Australia and to go instead to Ascot on Saturday. So I think all things considered, and when looking for value in the race where there are question marks about quite a few, including the anticipated favourite Truth Sham, I think the 22 to 1 each way that I'm seeing at the time of this recording with Bet365 looks very good value for the 3 places. So it's Trawlerman each way at big odds at Ascot in the opener on Saturday, the Group 2 Long Distance Cup. Now, I do have lots more selections for Champions Day at Ascot on my premium out in front service, which started a few weeks ago. So if you want to get involved and to join us, a number of people joining up, it's great to see, then do check out this message which explains what it's all about. Hello, I'm Paul Alster. Since July 2020, my followers have enjoyed some really great success here with my regular Saturday and festival tips here at Sportsbet TV. Well, now I'm offering an enhanced tipping service called Out in Front, aiming for plenty of big odds selections on far more racing days. So to continue receiving my profitable and enjoyable each way and often long odds racing selections, sign up now on Patreon for my low-cost, brand new live tipping service where you can interact with me and ask questions and comment in real time. So signing up to Out in Front only takes 2 minutes. First, choose a membership, then sign up, add a payment method, and then you'll get all the benefits of being an Out in Front member. I can't wait to see you, so sign up to the new Out in Front real-time tipping service with me, Paul Alster. So back to Saturday and my second free selection here at Sportsbet TV, and I'm taking you to Catterick. I think it's the first time I've ever tipped at Catterick. Of course, that's very close to my heart. They were good enough to name a race after me quite some time ago when I went off on my travels back in the 90s. And they made me very welcome, and it was wonderful that my broadcast colleagues supported the race, even though at that time you had to be dead usually to have a race named after you. Now it's quite a common thing, but in those days it was normally a memorial event. It seems that some of them equated my taking a backpack around the world to some rather unusual places with almost certain depth, but I got away with it. But anyway, here, Catterick 315, 5 furlong sprint handicap, class 2. Soft ground, good to soft in places at the bridge, 15 runners and £45,000 in prize money, which I think must be just about the most valuable race ever run at Catterick. Well, this is a race in which it's hard to find fault in the very progressive favourite here, Chipstead, trained by Roger Teal, who's a good trainer who I like to follow. This horse won at St Anne over 5 furlongs in August, winning by over 3 lengths off a mark of 84. And then he was up £8 and he led a furlong out running on really well to beat Call Me Ginger at Doncaster in the 5.5 furlong Portland handicap 5 weeks ago. Now, he's ridden by Freddie Larson there. He's gone up another £5, but Fred Larson claims £5 to negate the rise in the weights. So this is a horse who goes on the forecast ground, and he does have a good draw, I think, in stall 14. And I'll tell you why I think it's a good draw, because usually in my experience, having attended racing at Catterick many scores, if not possibly even hundreds of times over the years, the stand side is often favoured on soft ground. They tend to come over to the stand side. So in a sprint, if you're drawn high, it does often tend to favour the horses that are drawn high numbers, double figures. And with Chipstead in 14, that gives him an obvious chance. And he is definitely the one to beat. Although I would say that Count D'Orsay, who's trained by Tim Easterby, won this very race on soft ground in 2019, but he won it from a low draw. I think there were a few less runners, but nonetheless, it shows that they can win on the far side as well. He actually was third to Chipstead in the Portland and has been third again at York in a 5 furlong handicap. And that gives him every chance again. And he'll be coming out of stall 6. I'm not, though, going to go through too many here. I'm coming straight to the point here with my choice, which is another Tim Easterby trained runner. And it's a horse called Music Society, who's the mount of Duran Fentiman. Now, this horse has no real secrets from the handicapper. He's a 7-year-old. He's won 6 of his 57 races, and he's placed a further 14 times. But the significant thing about him is that he's unexposed over the minimum trip of 5 furlongs. Most of his runs have been over 6, and in his early days over 7 furlongs. He has run over 5 and won over 5 in the past. And this is a horse who, to my eyes, in recent starts, has seemed to be struggling to get home over 6 furlongs. So I think it's a good call to drop him back to 5, especially at Catterick, because he's only ever run here twice. He ran here in June of this year. He won over 6 furlongs off 76. That was his only run at Catterick this year, and his only previous attempt at the track was in 2021 when he was second. So he's got a win and a second from 2 runs at Catterick. He handles soft ground. He's got a good draw in 15, which I think should help. And he's been dropped £2 since his latest run. So he certainly doesn't stand out on recent form figures, but given the way he goes at the track, and given the fact that he has appeared to be a short runner over 6 furlongs of late, I think Music Society is worth a second glance. Only William Hills were up early prices when I last looked, and their guide price is 16 to 1. They're offering him each way for 5 places. That may well prove to be generous or stingy. You'll find out, I'm sure, when you take a look at this horse, and no doubt you take a look at the odds comparison sites as well. So that's my 2 for Saturday here at Sportsbet. That is Trawlerman at Ascot in the 125 and Music Society at Catterick in the 315. Both very tasty double figure odds recommended each way. Remember to check out my out in front service, where I'm going to be offering quite a lot of thoughts and tips on Champions Day at Ascot, as well as also offering tips for this Sunday racing for full members. But for now, from me, Paul Alster, here at Sportsbet TV, it's bye-bye for now. Have a great weekend.